Hi, I'm Ben Wojdyla.
And I'm Russ Ferguson.
Today on Saturday Mechanic, we're going to talk about how to deal with roadside emergencies safely. Dealing with emergencies is more about emergency preparedness than anything.
I like the adventure.
You would. Most people would. I'm okay with it, but
I like solving problems on the side of the road.
yeah, but most people just want to get to their bachelorette party or wherever the heck they're going.
It's too easy just to dial a cell phone, although it is just wonderful.
Yeah.
But being a little older, I've always kept a kit in my car.
And that saves you way more in time if you're able to fix it right away rather than wait for AAA or whoever for 2 hours.
I like to fend for myself.
Yeah. We've got our kits. I've got my bought kit. I actually have augmented a little bit, and Russ, of course, has got his cobbled together kit. And we're going to walk you through what we keep in the cars, just as a little added security, in addition to our cell phones and wits, I guess.
Speaking of cell phones, Ben, I like to keep an old cell phone with the car charger in my toolkit.
Because, of course,
Because
they always work.
they always work. They always call 911.
Right, even if you don't have a SIM card or a carrier.
And sometimes I have cars that don't have any power. So that would be the case where my everyday cell phone died.
Drop it in the water or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're in an emergency situation, yeah.
But it sure is a handy piece of mind to have.
And everybody at this point's probably got 3 or 4 of them laying around anyway.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, my kit here just goes by things I need to do. I tend to drive older cars.
Older is a euphemism for crappier.
Yeah. My fleet of 3 cars has 500,000 miles on it. So
Very, very respectable.
I need to have tools with me. The things that will probably happen to me is I'll burst a radiator hose or a coolant hose of some way. So I've got to be able to repair that hose, and I have to be able to refill it to get me somewhere.
You're really just wanting to get to a service station, really.
Exactly.
Any of these repairs are
Band-Aids,
Yep.
and we don't leave Band-Aids on forever. These are temporary fixes. If anything, I don't want to be hit by anybody, so the first thing I always bring is a flashlight. So this has a beacon that flashes, okay? I don't like to get run over, and if I had a complete electrical failure, this would be handy.
And plus, that's an LED-based one, so those batteries will last all night,
These
the
last,
next day.
These last
Yeah.
forever. They're wonderful. This is actually a little larger than it needs to be, but that's a real handy light to have with me. I like to bring along mechanic's wire. If you have access to a welder, someone's got a MIG welder, I just run off several feet of this. This would be in case something fell down.
Say your muffler, I've had that happen where
And it drags along.
It drags straight down, and it's actually kind of dangerous. If you catch a curb or a pothole, you can really do some
Or
damage.
I might hurt the next person behind
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
So I bring that along. I bring some type of duct tape with me, and that's handy. I bring electrical tape with me, which is a different purpose. And this is new, and I forget what you call it. Rescue tape?
Rescue tape is what
Rescue
it's
tape. Yeah, seen on TV.
I just repaired the intake tube on an old Volkswagen because they weren't available and it had to be airtight.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff worked great for it.
Okay. Another thing I bring with me that's brand specific or vehicle specific is I have a Dodge pickup truck, an older Dodge pickup with a V8 engine. And the Dodge V8 family and Chrysler and Ford V8s used a bypass hose. And it takes a very short turn. No matter how you try to use a piece of heater hose, you cannot make a 90-degree bend.
It'll
like
pinch.
that.
Yeah.
It will pinch. And your option is to get 2 feet of it and make a big loop, okay? Which
A little
will get you
awkward
down
under
the
the
road.
hood, yeah.
Knowing that that's a common failure of a vehicle that I own, I throw this in my bag so I'll never have to use it.
Probably $2-3.
Yep.
Good insurance,
Yeah,
right?
maybe 5, but it's still, everything in my kit is cheap because I'm cheap. I bring along an adjustable wrench.
Oh, the old crescent hammer.
Yep, crescent hammer. And then my favorites are, they're called locking pliers. Brand name is Vice Grip. This set here is designed to hold a hex, so I can hold a nut or the end of the bolt. This one here is your traditional flat jaw, and between the two they have a slightly curved jaw.
And those will both do a combination of a lot of jobs.
A lot of jobs, and the frustration a lot of people have with their vice grips is after a while those teeth get worn down.
Get a new pair.
Get a new pair, or I file them back. Okay.
So what's next in your kit?
Well, a tire gauge. And in fact, this is using my kit because my kit is normally hidden away. This is in the passenger compartment of my car because I check my tires at least once a month.
I try to check them every time I fill up. I got nothing else to do.
Right.
If your tires are low, you're getting crap fuel economy.
Exactly. The other thing I like to get is a multi-tool. They're very popular now. They can be very expensive or very inexpensive. I usually get a less expensive one, and it has a pair of pliers in there usually. I've seen some with a crescent wrench on there.
Yeah,
but
those are kind of wacky.
They have several different cutting blades. They have screwdrivers. They have, this one in fact has scissors, which may be handy maybe in a first aid.
Usually saws and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Actually, it looks like yours even has sort of like a measuring
Well,
angle on it.
the outside body is for measuring. That might help me as I go to the parts store and say I need a 2-inch hose for my radiator.
Right.
Okay. Of course, a couple screwdrivers, Phillips tip, and a standard blade.
Yep.
Okay. I have an old hunting knife I throw in there. A hammer you just can't beat. You just can't beat having a hammer.
You never know when you're going to need it.
You never know, okay? This is what I really like to take along, because this gets me out of more binds than anything, is a piece of wire. And I've put alligator clips on the ends. One is insulated, and these are jumpers. If I've had a bad relay, I've taken that out and I can actually jumper that. It is not recommended repair.
No.
But it will get me to the service center.
Right, where you can buy the right part.
Exactly, okay? I bring some heavy duty gloves I throw in there, but these are great, these little bags of nitro gloves. They're just the new thing in auto repair. Everywhere I go now, mechanics are using them. We're learning constant exposure to gasoline and oils.
It'll poison you.
Yeah, and besides that, if I'm going somewhere in my car, I'd like to show up without my fingers looking like they normally do. So those are handy. And heavier gloves, rags, I throw some rags in there. You'll see this piece of wood that I have.
That's not just a backdrop.
No, that's not a backdrop. That's a piece of plywood about that size, a little smaller. That's what I'm going to rest my jack on.
Keeps it from sinking in and tipping.
Changing a tire can be very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Especially in inclement weather.
Now, what do I store it in? I buy these bags. They usually list at $10 to $12. I wait till they go on sale. I usually pay $5 or $6. However, there's other things. I also, at the grocery store, those, buy one of those bags. Why not? That's pretty heavy duty.
Plus, all it's for is keep it in your trunk, really.
Just keep it so it doesn't all scatter around when I drive like you do, okay? This sounds crazy, but how many times have you seen someone walking down the road without a gas can? You're assuming that when you get to the gas station, they will have a can for you to borrow. No. Or sell to you.
Yeah, they don't
as
borrow
often.
them out anymore.
Yeah, this is a 1-gallon can. Don't ever fill this with gasoline and leave it in your car.
Nope, they'll gas you, it's dangerous, bomb waiting to happen.
Yeah, come on, that's just common sense. Don't do that. But it's nice to have a container. 1 gallon will get you, on most cars, at least 20 miles. Yeah. I have seen on the internet that they even have a collapsible container that you could use for that. That would be handy.
You know, if you buy these new, don't put anything in it. You could use this vessel for anything, water or gasoline.
Sometimes when we make coolant repairs or fluid repairs, I need to have a vessel. I showed you that I carry a gas can. This is from any one of the coffee places. And inside here is I don't know if it's a Mylar, but it's a Mylar type material. And there's a bag inside of here.
That holds the coffee.
And instead of just pitching these, I save them and I put them in my kit. They're extremely durable. They don't need a box around them. And they hold, I've put almost 2 gallons in there.
That's a lot of coffee or water for your coolant system. That has gotten you across this country more times than I probably even care to count.
A kit like this or some specialized things I throw in there have saved me many times. What do you have for us?
I have a simpler kit. I've got 6 cars, so I can't carry all the tools that
How many miles total on your fleet?
I don't even know. Well over 500,000, I think.
Okay.
I mean, my truck alone's 200.
Yeah, good point.
This is a bought kit that I decided to augment. First of all, it's got this. This is a reflective triangle that you can set up behind your car in case you're in oncoming traffic. But like you, I've got an emergency light that is LED based, and it's got the emergency flasher as well, like that. And then you can put that on top of your roof or whatever, so it's even more visible along with that triangle. I've got jumper cables. Now, I am a battery fiend. I like to keep my batteries in tip-top shape, but not all motorists do. And I primarily keep this in the car for them. I mean, people break down in parking lots more often than they do on the road.
Right.
So this is good to get your fellow motorists going again. I have a relay. It fits the various relays in that car, right? So if it goes out, I can plug that in.
So again, a brand specific
Tool. This would go in my Ford. So this fits the Ford relay system. I've also got a set of gloves, not quite as heavy duty as yours, but I've got that same rescue tape. This happens to be the colorless variety.
Okay.
Got fuses and connector ends. You know, more often than not, when something dies, it's as stupid as a fuse. I mean,
yeah.
And we've got ratchet, wrenches, screwdrivers, electrical tape, and a tire pressure gauge. And almost the most important things, I've got my razor knife, and like you, a little bit of mechanics wire.
Yep.
I've lost mufflers too many times. As much as I am anal about batteries, I am not about muffler systems. So mine fall off all the time. Between the two of us, if you are so inclined, you could come up with a really good kit, although yours is probably a little bit more hardcore than most people are willing to get.
That's not everything. So
Yeah, absolutely,
right.
It's not.
What about a tow rope or a tow strap?
I think it's vehicle specific, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep one in my truck because...
I keep one in the Jeep, of course,
right.
my four-wheel drive pickup. But the point is, many states do not allow you to tow with a chain or a strap any longer.
Yeah.
Okay? And we're not professional towing people, and there's a lot more to it than just dragging a car down the road.
It's better off to just call somebody who can flatbed you out of there or something like that.
But the fix-it-myself in me wants to.
Prefers not to.
And I like the adventure.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely. So Russ, we've been doing a lot of yakking in here. How about we go outside and demonstrate some of these repairs on the side of the road?
Okay.
We can take this fine piece of Korean-built hardware out there to do it.
I believe it's a captive import built by Daewoo.
Uh-huh. Let's do it. All right, we've got ourselves a flat tire. Russ, how about you pop the trunk and turn on the four-ways? This is sort of the first step in getting your car sorted out for emergency roadside repair. You want these flashes on so you're good and visible. If you got engine trouble, pop your hood. But before you even get to that point, make sure that you're in a safe place to pull off. If you're on a freeway that doesn't have a shoulder, keep going. It's not worth the cost of a rim. But if you can find a safe place, pull as far off as you can or get to a parking lot, something like that. Since we've got a blown out tire up front, we're going to pull out the spare and the tools to get that job done. So this is sort of the trunk liner. And if this comes out on your car, totally use that as a mat. Just set it down on the side of the road. Keep your knees a little bit more comfortable.
Hand me that piece of wood we put in there.
Yep, got our wood. I've got my emergency kit. Here you go. Set it right there. You want to drop that next to the front tire?
Okay.
I'll pull out the spare. All right, so this is how most spares come these days with these sort of weird styrofoam kit things. This has got, the tire iron is this, and it comes in two pieces, and we've also got a jack. It's a scissor lift type jack, and you crank that up, and we'll set that piece of styrofoam aside. Put these on the ground for a second, and pull a tire out. There we go. So this is a space saver tire. It's a tiny little guy. It's designed to give you a little bit more room in the trunk, but these things are only good for up to about 50 miles an hour.
50 miles an hour, 50 miles.
Yep. It's even more important to get these things off as fast as possible if you have to replace the tire on the drive end, because the smaller diameter in conjunction with the larger tire on the other side will cause a differential to crank over constantly while you're driving. So
another thing is, when you check your tire pressure, always check this. This is inflated to 60 psi. It's different construction than your regular tire.
Mm-hmm.
So let's inflate it here. You see in large letters, inflate to 60 psi.
Yep.
Which is about double what is normal inflation on the rest of the tires.
And keep in mind too, they're not as durable. You hit something with this, it's much more likely to fail.
I think the dumbest thing I ever see is one of these shredded on the side of the road, meaning that they not only had a flat tire, they put this on, and then they drove it so long that they shredded this.
Anyway, let's get this baby on.
All right.
This is the area where the pinch weld is that we want to put the jack. The instructions on how to use these things are usually printed right on the jack, but if you aren't familiar with it, it's a good idea to consult your owner's manual for a little bit better idea of how to do it. This is called a scissor jack, and it's got a screw in the middle, and it contacts this piece on the end, and as you rotate this, it opens up, right, and lifts the car. Really easy. This actually works with this piece hooked up like so, and you take the wrench and you hook them together, and you rotate it like that way, so you got to get a little bit of torque to get this done. So it's a good idea to get it close to where where it's going to contact the bottom of the car first. Make sure if you're on dirt or rough pavement or something that's uneven, to lay your piece of plywood down first. Hey Russ,
Yeah.
you want to crack those lugs real quick?
Oh yeah. You know, it's always a good idea to loosen them on the ground than up in the air. And there we go. This one I can't go, so here's a little trick. I put that there, and I step on it.
Yeah, that one was put on by someone with an air gun, I guess.
Okay.
So they're all loose now.
I'm done here, so you can use that to jack the car.
All right. When we get that old tire off, we're actually going to use that as sort of a jack stand.
Well, let's use it. We can use the new one while we're waiting. I always like to keep something under the car so it cannot fall far.
All right, so let's slide that under like that.
Okay, do you still have enough working room there?
Yep.
So if I can get my little fingers in here, I can take those out. But
Those are tiny. Here.
Yeah, it'll be a little easier just to do this. And this last one, the tire will push against it, so you almost have to walk it all the way out. Okay, there we go.
All right, there's the fourth.
Luckily, this is a relatively light tire, and I can lift that out, okay?
All right, we'll pull that out of the way.
Just slide that underneath the car.
Yep, and I'll get you the new one. There you go.
Okay. You'd be surprised how heavy this tire is compared to that one, even though it's smaller. You've seen the tires on these trucks. Your pickup truck, I'd have a hard time lifting that. So a trick I've learned, or I teach people, is I roll the tire onto my jack handle and lift it like that. Just stick a lug nut on there right now.
The bottom one.
Yeah, and I can do that myself. You know, doesn't take two people to change a tire, but well, maybe us. Okay? And I'm all set here. Now, we're just going to snug these down. We're not going to tighten them up here. That could knock it off the jack stand. And then you're in a
bad place.
You're in a bad place.
We're touching down now. So, if you want to tighten those down.
Okay. I don't know what the torque spec is, but of course, probably where I'm going to go to have this repaired will have air tools.
And notice how Russ is tightening them. He's going opposite corners. This one only has 4 lug nuts, so you want to do back and forth. But if you 5 or 6 or however many, you do it in a star pattern.
Correct.
And you repeat your work until they're all tight. You'd be surprised how loose that first bolt can get after you've tightened the other 4 or 5 down.
I think we're in good shape here.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's finish.
Pull that out.
I'll drop the car the rest of the way down.
Isn't this going to drive funny down the road? It's obvious the diameter of this tire is different than our other. Why don't you give me the flat one and let's just roll it up here.
Yep.
It's not flat anymore. Oh, there's no weight of the tire. Look at the difference in height. So this thing is going to pull to this side.
It's actually going to affect the way your ABS system works as well,
or
traction control. Yeah. So like we've said, this is not necessarily the safest thing to keep on your car.
No, we're going to go to the first tire store, service station. You may have to wait a day while they ship in a replacement tire if that's necessary. Mm-hmm. But again, just don't drive on this more than 50 miles and you should be all set.
Yep. So let's clean all this stuff and make sure nothing's broken under the hood. All right, so here's the situation that you never really want to find yourself in. It's you've got watery mess all over the inside of your engine bay and something has blown out.
It steamed so hot that it was hard to open the hood.
And you can feel it, you could probably see it, you can smell that coolant in there, and you know that...
Coolant's kind of a sickening sweet smell.
Yeah, so there's a hole in one of these hoses. What you're gonna wanna do is, since you know this engine is really too hot to work on and you're gonna need some more water, is probably to go get some water while the engine cools down.
And that'll take about 15 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Leave the hood open. That's a signal to others.
And since the pressure is relieved, you can actually go ahead and unhook this as well.
That is the radiator cap.
Yep, that will let it cool off a little faster. The thing is, you need water, but how are you going to get it?
I found these on the side of the road. That may work.
Right, but if we rely on what Russ had in his kit, those coffee bags, he's got, what, 1.5 gallons of water there?
Yep, and I was able to go find a source of water. And I went there, brought the source of water back.
And now it's cool.
It's cooled down enough.
And dried down maybe a little bit.
So why don't you wipe it off? Good.
Yep. So let's pretend the hole is right here in this corner right here. So it would be really one of the more difficult repairs to make since it's making a bend. We're going to show you how to do it first with the traditional duct tape solution.
What do you want to do, Ben? Do you want to wrap the whole thing around and around, or should I tear off some strips?
I think 1-foot strips works.
Okay.
And since it's a corner, We do it in half lengths or half widths, right?
Half widths. And if he didn't have his helpful friend, what he would do is he would just tear some off and make them ready, just like he's wrapping Christmas presents.
So the trick here is to cover the whole repair and get a good tight overlapping pattern going, and work your way all the way around the hose, sealing it tight the whole way. And when you start a new strip, you overlap again. You want to keep this pattern going all the way around, nice and tight. Be as tidy as you can. This is not a professional repair, keep in mind.
Did you say be as tight or tidy?
Tidy as you can.
All right.
This is an emergency repair that will get you to the next shop.
Leave the radiator cap loose.
Yeah, so it doesn't build pressure. The coolant system is not going to be as efficient, but it won't blow out this repair. And you won't be draining fluid all over the place. That would be one solution on how to do it. And then you take this bag.
And we pour water into the coolant reservoir as much as we could fit in there.
Even though we've repaired this, it's going to drip even as we're going.
I would turn on your heat all the way up. Use your heater core as the little radiator that it is. Do not run your air conditioning. It's going to be a short, hot, uncomfortable drive, but you won't be stuck where you are.
You'll get there and you won't warp the head. That's one way. That's with the duct tape. Let's actually take that off real quick, and we'll show you how to do it with this rescue tape. So this is the other way. This is with rescue tape. We're going to do it very similarly, but just 1 foot slices. Go ahead, Russ. And this stuff is a self-adhesive silicone.
It sticks to itself.
So, yeah, it doesn't stick to my hands, but it sticks to itself. With duct tape, you have to make sure the hose is as dry as possible. This you can actually adhere to itself underwater, which is pretty cool. You actually stretch it out and overlay it in much the same manner. But the stretching it out is important, and overlaying it also important, because that stretching motion with this stuff is what gives you the adhesive action. It's good to note that it comes in a variety of colors so that if you're lazy, you should pick a nice bright color so every time you open the hood, it's staring right at you. Fix me. All right, so that, again, will get us to the next service station very easily.
If you've borrowed your friend's car, though, use a dark color.
Yeah, use the black one.
And maybe pour dirt over it, and so it looks okay. Now we're just ready to fill it up.
And get to the station.
Why don't you just try our jug here? I think these things are fantastic.
Yeah, let's see how this works here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. A little sloppy.
Okay, Ben, I think they get the idea how to fill that up.
Yep.
And if we used all this, we'd go back to our source of water and we'd get more. You have no idea how much, so if
get
you
as
can,
much as you can.
Get as much as you can and take it with you.
Yep. I think we've completed everything that we need to talk about as far as emergency roadside repairs. If you have done repairs yourself on the side of the road that you think are particularly heroic, leave them in the comment section below. We'd love to hear about them.